of the items that you actually should have. I love the do you wear dentures, contacts, glasses, hearing aids, oxygen, wheelchair. I love that. These are the items that when we were preparing with my parents that they did not think about at all. My dad does have oxygen, so he uses the oxygen with him, but he didn't have a plan on how he was taking his extra oxygen with him. So please be, please be aware that even though you're packing the items that you need, that you're going to need ample supplies of whatever that is. Next one is we did talk about people with pets. Bronson, I did actually try to look at this because something was passed, and I'll get it for everybody, but something was passed, a bill was passed recently that actually the state of California is asking counties to have so many shelters in their county that have shelters for their pets now. So they do have to actually abide by that. I'll find that and I'll get that to you. But I just gave, a couple of tips here about travel, people with pets, and you're being prepared when you have to leave them, or if you have to leave your home. One of the most important things is the microchip. God forbid, your pet, you don't need to deal with an emergency and your pet gone at the same time. So, if anybody is out there with, and taking care of elders with pets, it's one of the main topics that we actually talked about in the presentation, because a lot of the seniors do not get their pets microchip. I don't know if it's too progressive, they don't believe in it, they think we're home all the time, the pet's with us all the time. They don't know why, but majority of the seniors that come in do not have their pets microchipped. If you could push that, that would be wonderful for them. I did put in the next couple of slides, just like people with mobility issues or any physical disabilities. The worry here is one of the major worries, especially with people who are living in high rises, is how are they going to flee if something is happening, what fire or whatnot in the building. And so there does have to be an evacuation plan, and there has to be talk about it. Where are we going? How are we getting out? Which exit are we using? Where are the exits? So a lot of, if you can go over, especially with the people with mobility, what are they doing with their walker? Do they get in a wheelchair? Does someone push them down? Have a plan for those people. The next one was speech or disabilities. My mom is hard of hearing, so this is super important to me. She has a lot of equipment. And so what I told her was to always, whenever you have anything in whether it's a hotel, you're staying over someone's house, or your own home, just make sure that it's completely centralized. That was one of the bits. You can't have half of your equipment in the kitchen, half of your equipment in your room. If that is the only way that you know how to speak or hear, then you have to have that actual station where you are in your room, because that is what you need to grab. All that can go straight into a go bag, but you just need to be able to sweep it. So one of the major issues that they have is they just don't have enough time to get everything together. So if one of your elderly seniors, if they actually do have medical equipment, oxygen, we need a whole plan on how are we taking that, how are we packing it, who is bringing it. They're not going to run out with it, especially if they're immobile. So next one is for deaf or hard of hearing. Like I said, my mom has all her equipment. She now puts it on one area on a counter. Her go bag is in her bag, so when or if she does have to go, all she does have to do is just sweep it. And so I did actually tell her, everything from extra batteries for your hearing aids, your cochlear, whatever you need, your chargers, you need everything in that location so that you could just take it and go. People with developmental disabilities. So we were talking about just identifying who could actually help at this point with people with disabilities. So if you have siblings, if you have uncles, aunts, if you have extra hands who could actually help with the disabled, that would be the most helpful. But when you're in evacuation and you just have to get out, you need to make sure you have the person who you could talk to, who can help you while you're doing all of the rest of the logistical stuff to be able to stay with this person if they're in a shelter and help you. Next one is mental disabilities. We did have a couple of groups in there that gave us some health providers that could help in time of an evacuation. I'll share those contacts with you. But what most important here that they highlighted was their medication. So if all else fails and all you can grab is anything for them, make sure they have their medications with them. Everything else they, for people with mental health disabilities, you know they need them. They have to have them daily. And with pharmacies being down or you can't get to a pharmacy or whatnot, it's most important to grab those meds. Individuals who are supported by caregivers. So we talked about having a very clear and constructive plan with a caregiver. One of the things that most families were doing where they would have a plan, an evacuation plan, they would write everything down, they would have everything ready, but they never shared those items with their caregiver. So we had a example where the woman was being taken care of by a caregiver, family was out of town, they had to evacuate due to a fire, caregiver didn't grab the go bag, didn't grab the stay box, didn't grab anything. House burned down. Meds were in it, didn't have meds, nothing. So she grabbed the person and she went, thank God, but nothing else was prepared. Everything was prepared, nothing else was grabbed. Like no one grabbed anything because she just wasn't aware that that's what their plan included. So just make sure your caregivers are involved in the actual evacuation plan too. And that would be it for me. But I will go ahead and share those contacts with you. I thought it was very good. It was good. It was very informative. Most of the things that you think you know and you should know and you should be doing, people don't. So I would encourage you to have a plan in place. Pack your go bag, your stay box, get your emergency kit, get your radio. That's my tips for the day.
Great. Thank you, Andrea.
Of
Kathy, you have a
course.
question? Kathy, you had a question?
No, not really a question, just a side note too. My parents lived on Marco Island in Florida for 25 years. So hurricane season comes by. And in order for them to make sure they were ready to go at a moment's notice, because they would literally tell them they were going to shut the bridge at X number of time and you better be off or else. What they did was they put everything in a rolling suitcase. So everything was just easy to pick up and grab. It was set up. Mom had all her important papers. They had duplicates of their medication in that bag. And whatever else they would take with them, at least they had that. So I could recommend a rolling suitcase of some kind, instead of just a go bag. I'd like to make it a rolling suitcase because then they have no excuse not to drag it. They have no excuse not to pick it up and move it. Okay, it's easier.
Awesome, Kathy.
2 cents.
Great. Thanks, Kathy. Any other questions for Andrea? Let's see. Okay. Well, thanks, Andrea. Thanks for going to those meetings for us. Really appreciate it.
Of course.
Great. Okay. So moving on. Hey, Kathy, do you want to introduce our next speaker?
Rachel, where are you? I saw you just a second ago. There she is. Rachel, good morning.
I'm here. Sorry, I was having some audio
Rachel
issues.
is from Independence at Home, and she is going to do a presentation on our caregivers, which is really super important. It goes along with the emergency preparedness because a lot of times they're the responsible ones that have to make sure all of this is put together. And not enough not enough is being said about how to take care of the caregivers. So I think Rachel's got some interesting take on it this morning. So Rachel, do you need to share your screen, or you want Ronson to do it, or?
I can go ahead and share it. Let me do that
Okay.
right now. Make sure it works out. All right. Can everybody see? Let me put it in slideshow.
They are.
Does that look okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel Holben. I'm the manager of the Insights program, which is a program within Independence at Home. And I'm super excited to join you all and to share about our program and also some other sort of local programs that hopefully you guys can take advantage of. So thanks for having me. It was super interesting to hear about disaster preparedness. So that was a nice, I got to join that. Okay, so we're going to talk first about Independence at Home. So Independence at Home is a division of SCAN Health Plan. If you guys are familiar with SCAN, I'm sure you've seen the commercials or seen the building off of the 405. We are a Medicare company. However, Independence at Home is actually a very separate entity. So we work with the community. We work with people who are not SCAN members, which is kind of confusing sometimes. So our idea is to sort of fill in those gaps. So SCAN serves its members, and then we serve anybody else who needs any particular, the programs that we may offer. So Independence at Home, we began in 1977 as a community service of SCAN Health Plan to serve the community at large. We provide services and supports addressing some of those like social determinants of health that our community may need. So kind of those barriers that people encounter, such as finances or mobility, we sort of look at addressing those. All of our services are free, and our services are specifically for seniors and caregivers, and we'll talk about more about that later. So the majority of my presentation will be about caregivers. However, we do have services for older adults as well. So I'll tell you guys about those as well. And as I mentioned before, all of our services are provided at no cost. So we do not collect any payment. We don't bill insurance. We are given a lump sum of money every year within the SCAN budget to operate. Hold on, let me minimize because I can't see. Okay, sorry. The goals of Independence at Home: delivering education, resources, support, customized to enhance wellness, foster successful aging at home by older adults and their caregivers. So that is our primary goal. And our services are intended to support, not supplant, local resources. So we want people to also receive other services as well. Our services are offered as kind of an adjunct to enhance that. And I will give you more information about what those specific programs are. So the first program that I will talk about is our MSSP program, which stands for Multi-Purpose Senior Services Program. I will say that I work for the behavioral health program, but I've been with Independence at Home for almost 12 years. So hopefully I'm pretty knowledgeable about MSSP as well. So I'll talk about that one. So MSSP, so this is not for caregivers, which I know is a little bit confusing because we're focusing on caregivers, but this program is actually for older adults. But we know that caregivers are overwhelmed, so any resources for the people they take care of can always be helpful. So MSSP is a program for people 65 and older. They have to reside in a contracted area. So any person who's eligible in the state of California has an MSSP program that they would go to. I will show you the cities that our MSSP program serves, and I'm pretty sure it'll be the cities that you guys serve. But if somebody lives out of one of those cities, there is an MSSP program for them. You just have to figure out which one that is. So you have to have Medi-Cal and Medicare. So that is the most important thing. 65, Medi-Cal and Medicare. So they have to be low income. They have to be eligible for Medi-Cal. They also have to require physical assistance with 2 or more ADLs. And if you're not familiar with what an assisted activity of daily living is, it's something like getting dressed, bathing, eating, walking, all those things that we do every single day. They need help with 2 or more. And they would need case management, and they would also have to want the services, so it's voluntary. So this is our catchment area. So any of these cities, if a person lived in any of these cities, they would be and were 65 and older, Medi, and had 2 or more deficiencies in ADLs. They could come to SCAN's MSSP program. If they live in a different city, you could call SCAN's resource line and they will tell you which MSSP program to go to. But I know that we're South Bay, so we should cover almost every South Bay area. So a little bit more about the Multi-Purpose Senior Services Program. We are a very comprehensive case management program. So everybody who is enrolled is connected to a social worker. And that social worker or a social worker will remain with them for the rest of their life, or until they decide to not be in the program anymore, or until they go into a nursing home or some other type of setting where they're no longer at home. I should have said that. I'm sorry. They have to live at home to be eligible for MSSP. So language, we have staff who speak English, Spanish, Korean, and Tagalog. If they speak a different language, we would use like a translation service. So any language, we could make it work. So some of the reasons that people are referred to MSSP would be things like they need personal care, maybe they're having issues with like cleaning, they're confused about benefits, they need DME, maybe they need grab bars, maybe they need a walker, something they're not able to get through their insurance, they're having issues with falls, they're having trouble budgeting their money, home delivered meals, they need respite, their caregiver needs respite, maybe something like taxi vouchers. So these are all examples of things that MSSP provides. So a person enrolled in MSSP would have a case manager who would call them every month. They could also call that case manager more often. The case manager would visit them quarterly in their home. And any of these, anything the person would need, either MSSP could fund out of their budget, or they can help them to connect to other resources. So this is a great program for anybody that's eligible. And as we talked about, these are people who tend to be very vulnerable. These are low income, fragile seniors. So this program is extremely helpful in kind of helping them with whatever services they need. So I'll pause. Does anybody have any questions about that program? So I'm covering a few different programs. I can't see the chat because I have my screen share, but if anybody wants to chime in, if not, oh, sorry.
Yeah, Kathy had a question.
Okay.
No, I was wondering, Rachel, on the financial management, how far do they go with that?
I would say in this situation, would be more linkages, just because they're case managers. So they would help them to get connected to legal resources, programs helping seniors. That would be more of a linkage.
Because they're, I mean, with the scam incidence level being so high, I was wondering how far into this they would go. Would they be able to help connect them to all things and maybe convince them, that they need to connect to somebody to stop doing what they're doing?
Yes. I would say that it is more on the linkage side. You wouldn't have the person in there, looking at their bank accounts and balancing their checkbook. It would not be like a hands-on approach, but they would help them to connect to education. We have information about avoiding scams, just different types of services, legal and otherwise that may help. Okay. So it's very case by case. So, the case managers do form relationships with with the clients, considering it is like a lifespan program. So often you have people who come in at 65 and then they're in their 90s and they're still in the program, which is great. And I think it does help them a lot.
So it's really individualized.
It is very individualized.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? And we'll have time obviously at the end too.
Oh, I have a quick question. As far as IHSS recipients, does it how does that affect that, or is it like
It
supplemental?
doesn't. It's supplemental. So since most of the MSSP clients are eligible for IHSS, they would just have that. It would be an addition. And there are some additional respite hours that MSSP could fund to kind of fill in some of those gaps that IHSS maybe they don't have sufficient hours. So it works in conjunction. The
Okay.
only thing is they can't have another case manager. It depends on the program, but like we have some people who are like regional center clients. They can't receive MSSP because those are two sort of like dual case management programs. But other like supportive programs like IHSS, they could still have.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. All right, I will move on. And then if anybody has any other questions, feel free to chime in. Okay, so this is my program. So hopefully I will sound really on the ball about this one because this is my my baby. So this is Insights. This is our behavioral health program. We are a mental health program. So we provide services to anyone 55 and older. So that's a distinction. MSSP is 65. For mental health, it's 55. And we also provide services to caregivers. So anybody who takes care of someone who's 55, and that person can be 18 and over, and they are eligible to receive mental health through our program. So it's a much looser criteria than MSSP. No income requirements. We have people at all ranges of the socioeconomic spectrum. We don't care. We don't look. They just have to kind of have a reason why they're coming to us for free counseling versus maybe using their insurance. And we know using insurance can be a huge headache. So we have people who come in and say, I have insurance, but there's a 3-month waiting list and I'm really confused. And we're like, fine, come to us. We can help you now. So that would be considered a barrier, even if they have insurance. It just, they need to have some reason of why they can't immediately maybe access it, which is pretty much everybody. So we provide individual counseling services to anyone in California. So since all of our therapists are licensed in the state of California, and we are at this point, I would say like 95% a telehealth program, we serve anyone in the state of California. So when I say 95%, we do have most of our therapists live in LA or Orange County. So we do have a few clients who are receiving like home visits. And we really base that on need. So if you have a client who's maybe has extreme physical barriers where they can't use a phone or use Zoom for a session, we would try to accommodate them and offer like a home visit for their therapy. But it's pretty rare. Most of our clients are able to do telehealth. So before I move on to that, so let me just tell you a little bit more about this program. So I said mental health meaning individual therapy. So we know aging and caregiving can be very stressful. There are a lot of changes, transitions, losses that people experience as they age, as their parents age, as their spouses age. And because of that, we have people who experience sort of mild to moderate symptoms of depression, anxiety, stress, bereavement, all of those things. So we are able to offer them short-term therapy, and by short-term, I'd say like about 15 sessions is our average. We really try to cap it at 15, just because we do have, a huge amount of demand. So we have a lot of people interested in our services, which is a great problem. But so we do try to keep the services time limited. We do allow people to come back. So we have many clients who come in, receive their 15 therapy sessions, and then maybe down the road they encounter some other stressor that comes up. They come back. That's great. We welcome them back. So just because our services are time limited and telehealth, our kind of ideal client is somebody with mild to moderate symptoms, as I said. If somebody has really severe chronic depression, they would probably do better in a longer term program, or maybe a program that has a medication component. We do not have that. We are just therapists. So we try to, if we get clients referred who maybe do need a little bit more, we do try to help them to get connected. But so ideally it's somebody who is able to sort of engage in just the therapy component. Any questions about this? No? Okay. And I will say that if you guys have any client, I will tell you at the end too how to refer. If you have anybody, if you know of anybody who would benefit from this, we have about a 2-week waiting list, so really not too bad to get connected to a therapist. So in addition to the individual therapy, we also offer groups and we offer classes. So if you guys are working for any sort of organization, senior centers, senior buildings, anything, we are able to provide these also free of charge. So we have some 6-week therapy groups that we offer that are based on, we use the cognitive behavioral therapy model, and also interpersonal psychotherapy, which really looks at like role transitions, managing interpersonal relationships. We also do a 3-week group that we call Let's Heal and Connect, and it looks at social isolation and technology. So we have a therapist and we have a digital coach, which is somebody who is certified to help seniors with technology. And they kind of work together and teach this 3-week class. It's really fun. They have iPads. They do all kinds of kind of technology lessons. And then we have a huge list of single session classes about mental health. And those are for older adults, caregivers, as well as providers or like professionals working with older adults or caregivers. We have a very long list of just different classes that we can offer, like just kind of like I'm doing now. We could join a Zoom meeting. We could offer it in person if it's in LA County. So we have all kinds of things that we do out in the community to support older adults and caregivers with their mental health needs. So here's our phone number. I think I sent out this PowerPoint. I can also send out some flyers, and I think we also have a referral form that you can email if you have somebody that's interested, or if you have any more questions. I can also give you guys my contact information if you have any questions. But this is our main resource number. Somebody will answer if it's during business hours. We have people on the phone who speak English and Spanish. So if you have a client who wants to call and refer themselves, but this is our contact information. I'll make sure you guys get it again. So that is Independence at Home. That is SCAN's community services program. Now I'm going to talk about some of our partnering agencies that we work with that support older adults and caregivers. I'm not an expert on these agencies, but I want to share them because we have great working relationships with them, and they are extremely helpful to our clients, and they also refer their clients to us. So I'll talk first about the USC Family Caregiver Service Center. There is a caregiver service center, I believe, in every county in California. USC specifically works with LA County. So anybody in LA County that's a caregiver can receive services through USC. So as I said, yeah, LA County, they provide resources, education, and counseling. And I think they do provide some also short-term mental health support to caregivers, just like we do. They tend to refer clients to us who need a little bit more. But if somebody maybe just needs some short-term counseling, they're a great resource. And they really look at caregivers and helping them to really prevent that burnout that we know can be so devastating for caregivers. So what do they offer? They offer caregiver assessments, care planning, really evaluating what these caregivers need. They have really great support groups. They have peer connections, so helping caregivers to match with other caregivers so they don't feel so alone in this journey. As I mentioned, individual counseling, workshops, and they also offer respite, which is super helpful, as people know. So if you have a really burnt out caregiver, they can offer limited respite care just to give that break that people really, really need. So this is their information. USC Caregiver Resource Center, they support any family caregiver. And I think the care recipient can be 18 and older. So it doesn't have to be an older adult. So if you have like a disabled adult and maybe there's somebody providing care for them, you should be able to get support for them through the USC caregivers. It's not exclusive to older adults, even though I think a lot of their what they serve are caregivers of older adults, but it's not entirely. But I know the care receiver needs to be 18. Okay, Alzheimer's Association. This is another great resource in the community. We also work with them. So Alzheimer's Association, this is a national nonprofit supporting people with Alzheimer's and dementia. So this is an important distinction. It doesn't have to be just Alzheimer's. It can be any type of dementia. I think people sometimes feel like they're not eligible or their family member is not eligible because they don't have that diagnosis, but it's really just any memory issues. And they provide education, resources, advocacy, serving the patient, caregiver, and family. And their education is super, super helpful, especially for caregivers. I've seen some of their materials and they're very, very helpful and just very practical information. They also offer a 24/7 helpline, which is great. So you can call them any time of the day. It's always manned by volunteers, I believe, just for support around dealing with like dementia, diagnosis, support groups, consultation, clinical trial information, all these things. They're really like kind of on the cutting edge. So this is their phone number, Alzheimer's Association. If you know of anybody who may benefit from that, you can share. And I will also, as I said, I'll set out, make sure this is sent out. Okay, so I wanted to just kind of wrap up. I know I gave you guys a lot of information about some of the organizations out there serving caregivers and older adults in the South Bay community. But I wanted to just give you guys some resources just about if you guys encounter caregivers, if you are a caregiver, what are some helpful tips to support caregivers? Because we know that caregivers, experience a lot of stress. We have a lot of caregivers, in that kind of sandwich generation, dealing with their own children and their parents. So people need a lot of support. So just making sure, that you're listening, that you're, empathizing, providing clear, easy to understand information. Caregivers tend to be overwhelmed, exhausted. So just making things very, very broken down, very simple, that always helps. Giving them resources, even if it feels like it's too much, just give them all the resources. You can never really have too many, and you never know when you're going to find that resource that really, really clicks and really works out. Encouraging self-care and boundaries, very, very important. And then again, acknowledging, validating that caregiving is really hard. You're doing a great job. Caregivers tend to not hear that enough. Helping caregivers cope. This is extremely essential. Reminding caregivers to take care of their own health. We see all the time that caregivers end up developing chronic medical conditions due to that ongoing stress, and then they're not able to provide the care anymore. And then you're really in a predicament because, who's going to do it? So really reminding them, go to the doctor, exercise, rest, take a break, because sometimes they don't. It's all about the care receiver, and then the caregiver hasn't eaten or, done anything for their own health. And then that really takes a toll, especially because you have caregivers sometimes too who are, also older adults. Suggesting relaxation, just reminding them take a few deep breaths, all these things. There's so many great apps nowadays, like the Calm app. You can plug into YouTube, relaxation, deep breathing, mindfulness, guided imagery, any of those words, and you'll find hundreds of options on YouTube. And these are so, so, so important. We know, we've seen these statistics that 50% of cases of elder abuse are committed by family caregivers or family members. People are very overwhelmed, very resentful. So taking care of your own health, your own mental health, is so important. Setting realistic expectations, not putting pressure. Sometimes, you have family members sort of telling the caregiver, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you're not doing enough. And then, meanwhile, they're not doing anything. That's a famous story. We see that all the time. But really encouraging the caregiver, you're doing enough. This is fine. This is great. Don't listen. Asking, encouraging them to get help, balance, taking time for themselves, and then celebrating those successes and really appreciating them and normalizing, that this is hard. So I think that is it. Oops, let me stop sharing.
Thanks,
Thank you
Rachel.
guys for your
Okay.
time. I know
Anyone?
I did not take the full hour. I didn't think I would, but if you have any questions, I am here.
Anyone have questions for Rachel? Rachel, like, sometimes, well, there are members on this team that does both some homelessness and people at risk of homelessness. And
Mhm.
oftentimes we have people being caregivers for someone. If they wanted to be a caregiver, like, what's the best way to go about becoming a caregiver?
Like a paid caregiver, or
Yeah, like a paid caregiver through
I mean,
your
if it's
program.
an IHSS situation, I know they're always in need. So I would
Mm-hmm.
encourage them just to contact IHSS and join that registry, because I know there is like a process to get cleared.
Mm-hmm.
So people who have like the live scan and who are or who are like ready to go are always in demand. I know people are always struggling to find good caregivers.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, and I'll note too that our you mentioned homelessness and people at risk of homelessness. I'll mention too that my program, the Independence at Home, we do offer a specific program within our mental health program that works with people who are at risk of homelessness or homeless. We have a therapist who is designated to work with that population. So, and he is able to do a little bit more field work and a little bit more flexible, offer a little more flexibility. So,
Great.
Are they in South Bay, Rachel?
yes. Yeah,
How do we
our
how do
organization
we
is based
reach
in
that
Long.
team?
Yes, I know. I will give you our information. I will send you, Kathy, I'll send you our flyers
Okay,
and our referral form. And if you don't mind, maybe sending that
sure.
out.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, no, Rachel, thank you. Caregivers are so important these days because I think people kind of wind up being a caregiver and they don't even realize they are.
Mhm.
Okay, and then all of a sudden it's like this overwhelming list of, wait a minute, okay, they need this, 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 and this, and this, and then you're knee deep into it before you even realize it. And
100%.
sometimes in over your head. So I think that's what
100%.
Ronson was asking is where's the help for me? To kind of, who's that first person that we should call? When
Mhm.
we need to reach out. Is it, Independence at Home? You guys have some great resources to be able to start to connect. And it does look like you're all over our service area. So,
Mhm.
we could call you and say, hey, Rachel, we need somebody to go out and talk to this person and try and help set up this family who's a mess, right?
Yes.
Or falling apart.
We could definitely, yes. And our resource line is great because they are very good at offering resources and information. And so even, yeah, just give us a call. I think too, sometimes people don't even realize you think of a caregiver as somebody that's either getting paid or is like a full-time caregiver, but there are
Right.
caregivers who are working full-time jobs and even trying to make appointments and fill prescriptions, and that's still a caregiver.
Yeah.
Even if it's not a full-time thing, it still can be very taxing. So
Or
there's
just taking them to the
definition.
doctor's appointments
Hmm.
and,
Hmm.
making sure they have their medicines. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it starts very, very small and then implodes
Yes,
rapidly from my own
exactly.
experience. Okay.
Exactly. It sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it does.
I will drop our contact phone number in the chat. And I will also make sure that you guys receive our information, but I will put our phone number in there.
Rachel, it's Andrea. That caregiver service center at USD, that's public, right? Anybody can use it. You don't have to be a professional
No,
caregiver
no,
with
no,
a
not at all.
license.
Yeah, it's open
Okay.
to anybody in LA County who's a
Okay.
caregiver.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Rachel.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you coming by. All right. Next up, we have Grace Farwell providing us an update on HELP's caregiver discussion group. So this is a good segue into that.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be here. So thank you, Kathy, for inviting me. So my name is Grace Farwell, and I've been with HELP now for almost a year and a half. But HELP has been around, well, let's see, next year will have been around 30 years. We started in 1996 as healthcare and elder law programs, and we really were focused on estate planning and making sure that older adults had their advanced healthcare directives and all that type of thing figured out. And so then over time, we've kind of evolved into more of a resource center. And, we've been out in the community giving presentations all over. I mean, before I came to help as the program coordinator, when I did work for the COG way back when, I actually was part of the Speakers Bureau for help. So I've been part of this organization for a long time. So it's really fun to kind of be able to move it forward. And then, of course, Britt was the executive director for, I don't know, I think 12 or 13 years, and then retired and is now on our board. And I believe Olivia is on the call too. And Olivia is one of our board members. So hello, Olivia. But
Hello
anyway,
there.
so I wanted to share that we started basically a caregiver series that started out as presentations. So in July, we offered a class on caregiving stages and options, and it was a small group. So of course, I had a PowerPoint presentation all ready to give, but instead we sat around a table and just had a discussion. And from that, the group was sharing their caregiving experiences. They were all caregivers who were there. One woman had actually brought her husband, who's early stage dementia, who is a lovely man, retired dentist. But it just was a neat environment to really just kind of talk about what's going on in their lives and how can help assist them. And so out of that, they said, well, you know what? We really like meeting in a small group and meeting on a regular basis, because so many of the support groups that are around town are either a little bit too far away or they're Zoom meetings, and people didn't want the Zoom meeting. They want that face-to-face interaction and to really be able to interact with other people. So from there, we kind of thought that, oh, this would be fun to do a caregiver discussion group. And so basically what that means is that we choose a topic to discuss. I do some research on it and then present that information, whether I have handouts or whatever. And then from there, we have a discussion. And so it's very much caregiver driven. Although I think today, after Andrea, the presentation you gave, it's like, oh, I think we really need to talk about the stay box and the go bags, because that's really, really important. And as you say that, we need to make sure that if any of these families have a paid caregiver in their home, that they are as involved as the family members, understanding what to do in case of an emergency. But it's so also as part of our caregiver series, we offered another class on stress reduction, which was a lot of fun because we were doing breathing techniques. And I know that, Rachel, you were talking about the importance of breathing, meditation. I introduced laughter yoga, which was really fun for the participants there. And then we also offered a caregiver respite day of sorts, where we had a massage therapist who donated his time, who came in and gave neck, shoulder, back massages for our caregivers who had signed up. And then I was giving hand massages. And it was just it was, again, a very small group because we had limited space, limited time. But we were able to service 7 people during that day. And it was just really a lot of fun. And the caregivers all commented on how relaxed they were and just how beneficial it was. And then, so our actual caregiver discussion group then started on September 16th. So we just had our first meeting just last Tuesday. And it was really interesting because the topic at that time was hydration. So then we were just talking about different ways to keep our loved ones hydrated, to keep ourselves hydrated, and what that was kind of like the launching point, and then it just grew into other discussions. And so they've given me my marching orders for what we're going to do for our October meeting. And so right now we have them scheduled the third Tuesday of the month from 10:30 to 11:30. And, we welcome other people who might be interested in participating, but, again, we're trying to keep the group small and intimate, and that we can really have a lot of back and forth dialogue. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. But I just wanted to say that this is something new that Help is doing, and I'm really liking the direction that we're going in. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to entertain them. Or not.
Cool. Any questions for Grace? All right. Well, I guess you were very straightforward and very clear in terms of what you do. But it sounds really cool that you
I
have this
do have
program.
one question. I'm sorry, Grace. Like, Grace, how are you getting your invitees? Like, do they just call you and want something, or do you have like a list that you push out?
So a lot of what Help does is people may be in crisis or may have an issue, and so they'll call in and they don't know what they're calling in for initially. We still get a lot of calls asking for legal. You'd be surprised at how many 70 and 80-year-olds are looking for a lawyer because they want a divorce. It's like, well, we didn't even do that when we did that. But besides that, we do get a number of people who call in just kind of at their wits' end, not sure what they need to do, where they need to go. And so if I find out that they're in talking with them, if they are a caregiver, then definitely I get them resources related to that and invite them to our caregiver discussion group. But we have, we send out basically an e-blast about our different classes. And from there, it's how, we gather names when we're at different events. Like tomorrow, I'm going to be at the San Pedro Resource Center for an event. Friday, I'm going to be at the Redondo Beach health or health fair. So, we'll get people to sign up for different things that way as well.
Okay.
Are you still doing the phone check-ins with people?
Yes, we still have our friendly phone call program.
Yeah, friendly phone calls, that's it.
Which is great. And from there, those folks that we're calling are primarily, we're trying to combat social isolation and loneliness and really help people stay connected as much as they want, because it's really driven by the people that we're calling. And we have people that are in the South Bay. We have people from other parts of the country that have heard about the program and are now part of that friendly phone call program. And so we primarily have volunteers and students from the local universities who are doing their field work who participate and making those calls. But oh yeah, we're definitely making those calls every week. And just it's going strong, but we're always looking for more people who might be interested either in volunteering to make the calls or to be a recipient of the calls. In fact, I talked to a couple people at the Peck Park Senior Program in San Pedro, a couple months ago, and I had one woman who called me and she said, "Well, I would really like a call every day." Well, that's not quite what we do, but now I have her as a volunteer, so she's calling somebody on a weekly basis to check in. So she's now become one of our volunteers, and from what I understand, she's really enjoying it. So that's a positive.
Great. Okay, well, thanks, Grace. Appreciate you sharing.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, Janet had a question. Hey, Janet.
Hello, and if Kathy Hetzker already mentioned this, this is a working group, so I wanted to mention something that I've been seeing in my office a lot, and an organization like Help might be very beneficial, and that is, I'm getting calls from senior citizens who run out of money and have waited. Yeah, I see a few responses over here. Have waited to the last minute, and then they have absolutely no idea what they're really going to have to decide about. I had poor Kathy. I had a man who's 72 who she found a place to live, and he said, "Oh, I can't live there because there." So honestly, I think there should be some kind of seminar on: Are you starting to run out of money? I mean, to start preparing people to have a plan B. You know, I mean, can you go to a relative? Would you move to another, like Florida, like, or South Carolina, where things aren't as expensive? I mean, because there really isn't going to be enough housing yet. I mean, I know there's a lot of legislation hoping to create a senior housing, but it's so terrifying to me when people call and I can't help them at all, and we try. Kathy bent over backwards trying this particular person, but it's not the only call I've received. So, as a working group, I'd like to just throw that out as something we should think about creating some kind of seminar. So that's my input for today.
Thanks, Janet. Actually, on that note, one of the things that we're doing with our La Casa funds, our Measure A La Casa funds, is we're creating a marketing program. Maybe we'll have Colleen share it next time, but it's to get the word out on our rental subsidy programs and income subsidies. So we're actually required to do this under Measure A, but she's putting together a whole marketing program where she will be, making flyers and pamphlets and we'll have people staffing senior events and just to get the word out. And I think that's like kind of our first step. And our second step is actually maybe even doing paid advertising, like billboards or other types of like advertising in movie theaters, things like that to get the word out that there are income resources for folks through Measure A. And so that's something that we're working on right now. We just had a meeting last week about it, and it's something that we're going to be rolling out.
Great, thanks so much. Appreciate
But thanks for bringing that up, Janet. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good segue, Janet. Do you have any? Let's just do legislative updates. Janet, any news on that front?
Well, we're waiting to see. We're waiting to see. It's, October 1st, and we'll see. I mean, they're negotiating to try to save healthcare, and so that's going to be the big thing. And my DC partner who handles senior citizens didn't have anything specific that the congressman has introduced to help seniors. But I know he continues to support Senator Padilla's bill called Housing for All, which has a big section there about creating housing for seniors. So we're still pushing to try to get that passed. So fingers crossed, and hopefully I'll have more for you after all the craziness settles down. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Janet. Hey, Kimberly, you mentioned prevention. Do you have prevention? Is prevention live for you right now?
Yeah.
PATH?
Yep.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
In spot 8, yes. I mean all over, but
Okay, great. That's good to know. And are you guys population specific or is it households, individuals?
for my programs is single adults over 18, obviously.
Hmm.
But I believe families also has prevention, but that would be through Harbor Interfaith.
Okay,
But PATH is single adults, yeah.
single adults. Okay, great. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right. And then Moises, do you have any updates?
Hi, Ronson, and hello, everyone. So, here from some of Mike Gibbs's office, I know that these sessions are pretty much already over right now. Unfortunately, I'm on the road. I was just listening in, but hopefully, when I meet you guys again, I'll give you an update on which bills that has been passed and signed from some of the bills from Assemblyman Mike Gibson, and hopefully I can give you more to it though. So I apologize. I'm just driving right now to another event.
Okay. Thanks for that. In terms of the COG updates, we'll have a board meeting on Thursday. We're also helping organize a Measure A. Um, uh, the the county has hired these consultants named Changewell to put together SPA-specific working groups to talk about the new county department for homelessness and housing. And on October 15th and 16th, we will convene about 50 or 60 members from the spa to from all walks of life, lived experience, uh, nonprofits, and other community members to talk about the new department and how we can structure it so that it can best serve our communities going forward. So that is happening on October 15th. Addie sent like a nomination request a few weeks ago, and right now the nominations are closed, but we have some great people that will be representing us on that committee. Other than that, I think that's it for now on the COG front. I guess one other thing to mention, I guess just to piggyback on the prevention stuff, I think starting in October, probably mid-October, we will be live with La Casa Prevention. And so that's just another resource, another financial resource for folks who are at risk of homelessness. So that'll be coming in October. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, moving on. Any agency updates? Or any updates from anyone else? Let's see. Harriet or B, you guys have any updates from the League of Women Voters? No?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're supporting two protests for democracy on 9/27 Saturday. There's Hold the Line from 10 to 12, and many pro-democracy groups across California are coming together to organize a human chain along the entire coast to protest Trump's increasingly aggressive attacks on our democracy. And on October 18th, Saturday, No Kings Rally is from 10 to 12 p.m. at the Torrance City Hall, 3031 Torrance Boulevard. And if you want to march, you at that rally, you can meet at Charles Wilson Park at 9:15 a.m. and then march to the Torrance City Hall to join the larger rally by 10 a.m. You can go to our LWV League of Women LWV to our website at lwvbeachcities.org and go to the calendar section, and we can get more information on both of those protests. And we urge you to get out to vote for the urge you to send in your mail-in ballots when you get it for the November 4th election for oh gosh, for the Prop 50 that you'll be voting on. And the league is neutral on it, but we want to make sure everybody gets out. We're neutral on it because of our position, not supporting midterm elections, and other reasons. But we feel this is really important because the league feels we're in a constitutional crisis, and we need to do what we can to support democracy. So you'll be getting your mail-in, it'll be mail-in ballots. You'll be getting it early October. And so urge everyone to get out to get their vote in on the issue of Prop 50.
Yeah. Harry, any ideas on when the ballots are gonna be mailed out?
Early October. They
It's
should
coming
be
up quick. Yeah.
We'll have the voting guides at the Manhattan Beach Hometown Fair, October 4th and 5th. It runs from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And okay, not so clear here.
No, thanks, Garrett. That's very helpful. Yeah. I think all the advertising I'm seeing right now is around Prop 50. Uh, okay. Any other updates from anyone? And happy Rosh Hashanah, I guess, for everyone. Yeah. All right. Well, if that's no other updates, then we can adjourn the meeting. Thanks everyone for attending.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Oh,
Happy
our next
day.
meeting is in November, but it's scheduled for the week of Thanksgiving. We're thinking about pushing it a week ahead. Anyone have any objections to that? Okay. We'll let you all know if we do change the date. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ronson.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you.